listening to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. Focal Point with Brian Fisher.
Hi, welcome back to this last segment of this truncated version of Focal Point on this Wednesday. Great to have you on board with us. And a good friend of mine just sent me a picture via text that he had taken of a freight train, big giant, some kind of container car that had spray painted. I'm looking right at the picture, spray painted "Death to America" on the side of the train. And then at the front of the train, it's spray painted with the word jihad. This is in Boonville, Mississippi, criminally, right here in Mississippi. Anyway, let's finish up. In fact, I'm going to skip over the Krauthammer clip. Rob, let's grab clip number 9. This is Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio delivered a response, the official Republican response, to the State of the Union address last night. And he did fine. It was a good speech. At one point, he got very dry, and I've been in that situation. I know exactly what happens to you in that situation. And his throat got so parched, he had to stop and pause and take a swig from a bottle of water. And that's all that anybody talked about. I mean, nobody even knows what he said. Nobody even remembers what he said. Nobody on the left, at least, even cares what he said. They're just obsessed with him taking a swig out of this water bottle. But here, he had a great comment, I think, about why he is opposed to President Obama. Let's listen.
But his favorite attack of all is that those of us who don't agree with him, that we only care about rich people. Mr. President, I still live in the same working class neighborhood I grew up in. My neighbors aren't millionaires. They're retirees who depend on Social Security and Medicare. They're workers who have to get up early tomorrow morning and go to work to pay the bills. They're immigrants who came here because they were stuck in poverty in the countries where the government dominated the economy. The tax increases and the deficit spending you propose will hurt middle-class families. It will cost them their raises. It will cost them their benefits. It may even cost some of them their jobs. And it will hurt seniors because it does nothing to save Medicare and Social Security. So, Mr. President, I don't oppose your plans because I want to protect the rich. I oppose your plans because I want to protect my neighbors.
And that's exactly what we were talking about earlier. I mean, I do not want to see us have a soak the rich tax policy because I care about ordinary people. I want ordinary people to have the maximum shot at a job, at increased wages, at opportunity, at a chance to start a business of their own. And I know that the more money that's sucked out of the economy into the giant maw of the federal government and taken out of the productive sectors of the private economy, that hurts the little guy. But that's exactly what President Obama is out there doing. And that's what people have to get their heads around. It sounds like he's for the little guy. He wants to help the little guy. We got to take money from the producers so we can give that money to the little guy. That's not how you help the little guy. You help the little guy by getting the government out of his way and giving him opportunity, leaving money in the hands of those that create jobs so they can make more jobs for the little guy and for the children of the little guy and for the neighbors of the little guy. So again, socialism, it sounds like it's for the little guy. It hurts the little guy every single solitary time. Now with us on our decision maker line is a good friend, Grant. So Grant, you sent me that picture of this train. So I explained what was in the picture, but tell us again what you saw and what's in this picture.
Yes, Brian, good to be on the program. I was pulling up into a parking lot in a factory in Boonville, and it was just quite obvious that was shocking to me when I saw that. And I just took a picture of it, and then I heard your program when you had Brigitte Gabriel, who is very well versed on the subject, so I thought I would send that picture to you. And, you know, this is right here in Mississippi, and so you see more and more stark messages like that are very troubling.
Yeah. And so tell us again, I mean, I'm looking at the picture, but tell us what's on the picture. What's spray painted on the side of this? Looks like some kind of a liquid container car, box car, grain car. I'm not sure what it is. But anyway, tell us what.
Well, here it was, a box car, and on the side painted "Death to America" in bright red, And then near the front of the boxcar was painted jihad, meaning holy war. And my 9-year-old son, I showed him the picture, and he asked me what jihad was. So I was telling him the message of the Islam message and what they mean by jihad. And then I heard, I heard your program, and thought it would be a fitting time to send that picture to you. Brigitte, in my opinion, is one of the greatest, most informative people when it comes to that subject based on her experience.
All right, Graham. Well, listen, I appreciate you taking that picture and sending it to us. I'm going to try to send a tweet out right now so people can take a look at that picture for themselves. I am tweeting it as we speak. So anyway, Grant Solben, our guest here briefly. Thanks for doing that, Grant. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, you bet.
Great job.
Thank you. So a good friend, Grant, this is in the South. And here's a boxcar spray painted Death to America, Jihad, on a box car in Mississippi. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and send that out. So that's going off. So if you're on my Twitter feed, Brian J. Fisher is my Twitter handle, Brian J. Fisher. You can see that picture for yourself. We'll get that up on the Facebook page after the program. Now, I mentioned that I thought Senator Rand Paul had the best thing that anybody said all last night. I want to play some sound bites pretty much back to back to back to give you a flavor of what Rand Paul had to say. First of all, he talks about a larger issue of a philosophy of government. He's the guy that sounded more like Ronald Reagan than anybody in the potential 2016 field. Let's listen.
Ronald Reagan said, "Government is not the answer to the problem. Government is the problem." Tonight, the president told the nation he disagrees. President Obama believes the government is the solution. More government, more taxes, more debt. What the president fails to grasp is that the American system that rewards hard work is what made America so prosperous. What America needs is not Robin Hood, but Adam Smith. In the year we won our independence, Adam Smith described what creates the wealth of nations. He described a limited government that largely did not interfere with individuals and their pursuit of happiness. All that we are, all that we wish to be is now threatened by the notion that you can have something for nothing, that you can have your cake and eat it too, that you can spend $1 trillion every year that you don't have.
That's Rand Paul's sounding like Ronald Reagan. Let's drop down to clip 12, Rob. I want to be sure and we get this in because he talks here about what needs to be done. Let's listen.
Tonight I urge you to demand a new course. Demand Washington change their ways or be sent home. To begin with, we absolutely must pass a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution. The amendment must include strict tax and spending limitations. Liberals complain that the budget can't be balanced. But if you cut just 1 penny from each dollar we currently spend, the budget would balance within 6 or 7 years. The penny plan has been crafted into a bill that millions of conservatives across the country support. It is often said there's not enough bipartisanship up here. That's not true. In fact, there's plenty of bipartisanship. Both parties have been guilty of spending too much, of protecting their sacred cows, of backroom deals in which everyone up here wins, but every taxpayer loses.
You know, and Rand Paul is exactly right. It is not that difficult to balance the budget. If you flatline federal spending, then that's everything. I mean, that's Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, so it's going to involve adjustments. But if you flatlined federal spending, we're not going to spend any more money this year than we spent last. We're going to flatline it. No cuts. We're just going to spend the same amount. You could balance the budget in a matter of 6 years. You could allow federal spending to increase by 1% a year. You could balance the budget in 8 years. You could allow federal spending to increase by 2% a year. You could balance the budget in a decade. It is a doable thing. And Senator Paul has actually crafted a bill which would reduce spending by a penny a year, every dollar, just 1% a year, and balance the budget in less than half a decade. Now, here is another part of his financial plan, clip number 13, and I love what he says here.
With my 5-year budget, millions of jobs would be created by cutting the corporate tax, cutting the corporate income tax in half, by creating a flat personal income tax of 17%, and by cutting the regulations that are strangling American businesses. The only stimulus ever proven to work is leaving more money in the hands of those who earned it. For those who are struggling, we want you to have something infinitely more valuable than a free phone. We want you to have a job and a pathway to success. We're the party that embraces hard work and ingenuity.
So he talks about cutting the corporate income tax rate in half. Right now we have the highest corporate income tax in the world. It's 39.5%. We're higher than anybody in the world. That makes us uncompetitive because what do businesses want to do? They want to take their money overseas where the tax rate is lower. They want to make money overseas because they pay less in taxes. You know, Budweiser was one of the largest breweries in the world. They were bought by a company in Belgium. They sold to this company in Belgium. Why? Because the corporate taxes in Belgium are lower than they are in the United States. That's what drives money overseas, and it's what keeps it there. They don't want to bring the money back to the United States because it gets taxed again. So Senator Paul's plan is cut the corporate income tax in half. That's great. He says, I want a flat 17% income tax. You know, Rick Perry was talking about a flat 20% tax. I don't care. Just make it a flat tax. Get rid of deductions. Get rid of all that stuff. Just a flat income tax rate. That's exactly what Ben Carson was talking about, and that would bring America quickly back. You got corporations right now with $1.7 trillion sitting on the sidelines ready to invest. They're not investing it. Why? Because the corporate tax rate is so high, there's no point in putting that money to work. Well, let me send you into the rest of your day with this blessing from Ephesians 3. Now to him who is able to do far more abundantly than all we ask or think, according to the power at work within us, to him be glory in the church and in Christ Jesus throughout all generations, forever and ever. Amen. Don't forget to bow low before God, stand tall before man, stand in the gap, and never forget, with God's help, we are fighting a winnable war. See you tomorrow.
The views